Hey everybody, Chris Kroll here, managing editor of Solar Builder, back with another episode of Solar Distancing. We're joined again today by Keith Marett, president of Home Energy Management at Generac. Hey Keith.
Hey Chris, nice to see you again.
Yeah. Weirdly, wearing the same outfits. I guess can't shower every day during the pandemic. Anyway. So today I wanted to go a little bit deeper into some nerdier topics in terms of avoiding peak rates at home. Maybe not necessarily a topic for all homeowners across the country just yet. It's more like solar specific states, but a topic that's going to be gaining its steam as the years go, and it's super important for those homeowners in those areas now. So I guess just start off the bat by explaining to everyone just what am I talking about? What are peak rates at home, and the different levels that we have there?
Yeah, so really when you talk about peak rates, it's this utilities time of use structures. So as lots of utilities around the country have different tariffs for how people pay their utility bills and against their energy habits, especially as more and more solar has come onto the grid. Utilities are having to respond to that. And so they implement new tariff programs. One of the big tariff programs that we've seen come more and more common, especially in markets like California, are time of use structures. So at a certain point in the day, you'll have a cheaper rate, which is usually sort of like a midday type thing. And then at the end of the day, you'll have a higher rate. And so they'll block out a period of time, say between 6 o'clock at night and 8 o'clock at night. There'll be a high tariff zone where you're going to pay could be 30 to 50% more on your energy bill or your energy consumption during that time.
Yeah, so for homeowners that have installed solar in these areas, they are kind of specifically being dinged by these and programs, and it kind of in a way like it's the utility clawing back a little bit, and it's kind of almost it's a needed give and take to make sure everything's cool on the grid as things go more distributed. But so to combat that, if homeowners are interested in adding battery storage, that is a way to kind of flatten things out on their end. Can you kind of talk me through how this is done, the solar plus storage world, if specifically a customer is interested in kind of, fighting back against being charged more at those peak times?
Yeah, and that's really what we're seeing with the storage, the benefits around it. And it does allow, obviously it's got the resiliency aspect. So if the grid does go down, then you can have the storage kick in and power through it. But the other huge advantage of storage for the ROI to the homeowner is that ability to mitigate or avoid high peak charges. And so with a smart system like our Generac power cell, what we can do is set up the system to effectively charge and discharge. More importantly, is discharge. Use that battery when the rates are the most expensive. So you're staying off the grid. You're avoiding those high peak periods. You're consuming the battery's power and not the grid power. We see huge benefits in markets like Arizona, for instance, where Arizona has what's called a demand charge, which is a further thing on top of it, where if a homeowner goes over a particular level of consumption during a period, energy usage during a period, they get dinged a big flat rate across the board for that month, and it could be pretty pricey. You could add 20 or 30% to your utility bill during that period.
Yeah, and how it seems like, is this a complicated thing to set up a solar plus storage system to charge and discharge in the right way, make sure the batteries, I guess, charged enough and reacting properly to the changes in what the utility is doing? And is that on the homeowners? It's set up ahead of time? Do you have to continually update it? I guess, can you walk me through kind of the background, how that's happening?
Yeah, and that's, a lot of the storage systems are set up that way, where I would say it's more, they're set up for self-consumption. So when the sun goes down, the battery turns on and uses the battery. You can set up some very basic time of use sort of plans, let's call it, for that homeowner. they're really not sophisticated. So that's what Nerio, which was acquired by Generac last year, was really working on, was that smart storage optimization analytics program, where we create a particular model for that home, and the model's based on homeowners' consumption habits, what the solar is producing, or sorry, generating at the time, and ultimately what that utility tariff program is for them. So what time of use structure they're on. And then we create that individual model for that home, and it will automatically adapt based on the homeowner's habits. Because one of the things you want to make sure is, one, utility bills or utility structures can change. They can change every year if the utility decides to. And so you need to adapt with those changes. The other thing is you want to make sure is for homeowners' consumption habits that you have enough capacity left in the battery to get you through that peak period. And so there's a bunch of variables that have to go into play to create a real sort of smart program for that homeowner. And that's really what we've been doing.
And does the program have to include like an action plan for the homeowner as well? Like, doesn't there have to be a learning on their end to not at night run their dishwasher and washing machine and air conditioner? Like, I mean, is there a way to manage human habits in that too, or at least give them a game plan? I'm curious if that's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, maybe I'll just show you a couple of slides here on how we approach it to visualize it and what a homeowner will see.
Yeah, that could definitely be handy because, you know, I'm a homeowner. Homeowners don't know stuff, so all the tips we can get are, you know, helpful and as dumbed down as possible. I'm just speaking for myself, but I think all homeowners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this real portion of year is really driving at what we call the ROI. And so what we do during our initial setup, you can see on the far right here, is an easy tariff structure. So this is a fully automated system that will adapt if the home or if the utility changes its plan. And so this program is set up during the initial we call it commissioning phase, when the power cell program or power cell gets installed on site. It's all set up for the homeowner. It will adapt if the tariff structure changes. And then what we can do is see how the homeowner habit are handling themselves during these peak periods. So this, where it says time of use analysis, this visual here shows the homeowner in that sort of dark gray time bucket at the evening of what their consumption was during that period. And so ultimately it is a mix between insights and showing the homeowner, don't use your dryer during this period, it's going to cost you a lot of money. But really what we're trying to do from the intelligence side of the piece is adapt the home for the benefit of the homeowner without impacting their lifestyle. So for instance, we don't want them to adjust their thermostat down during this period. We want them to live comfortably and use their AC. We'll adapt and use the battery storage accordingly to reduce that peak period.
Okay, that makes sense. Very cool. And then just quickly on like the battery end of things, how does this affect the size of the battery if the customer is mostly, or I guess at the start, interested in this versus backup? Do they need more storage than if they were interested in storage as backup? And then also if they want to use a combination, like they want to have it available for backup, but while it's sitting there not being in backup mode, they want to use it throughout the week to avoid these rates.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where we see, especially the cost of the kilowatt hour going down, larger systems being installed for both backup purposes as well as time of use arbitraging. And so for instance, our system's about a 17 kilowatt hour system. And it goes back to the notion of we don't want the homeowner to really change their consumption habits. What we can do with the battery, because we can use a larger battery, we can effectively draw down more on it at a given time. So that really allows a homeowner to live their life as they normally would during a peak period, and will use that larger capacity, which also will be used during a backup event to get them through that period and truly do and save them money.
Got it. Okay. Well, hey, Keith, that was all I needed to understand today. I appreciate you for taking the time to chat with us again today.
No, it's great. Nice talking to you again.
Cool. And hey, everyone, thanks for joining us for another Solar Distancing. Remember to stay safe, stay away, but go solar.